Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Henry, Commissioner Isom,
Present.
Commissioner Kennard,
Present.
Commissioner Singleton, Commissioner Warren,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Mayor Mohammed.
Present.
You have a quorum.
This brings us to approval of minutes, March 3, 2025. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion for the approval?
Motion is made by Commissioner Isom, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to approval for accounts payable listing. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion for the approval?
Motion is made by Commissioner Isom. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by First Ward Commissioner Henderson. Is there a discussion? Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
I just want to ask my colleagues, did they see the response from the financial director and everything that we were spending the people's money for? I'm gonna vote yes, and that's not usually my vote, but if everyone saw some of the stuff that we're actually paying for, I wish that they would, colleagues, look into it a little further. Thank you.
Call for the question.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to our audit presentation for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. And I will yield to our presenters. Please recognize, or at least discuss who is your organization and affiliation.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Paul Matz. I am with Raymond Robson, the firm that does the audit of the city. With me tonight is Evan Rommel. Evan is the supervisor who sort of oversees the audit on the day-to-day basis. I usually sit up here and just take credit for all of the work that the team does. I thought tonight it would be nice to just invite him along so he could just sit and observe the presentation. I am here a little bit later this year than what I think I generally am. A lot of times I'm here around the January timeframe to do the presentation. The only reason it's different this year is because we sort of broke the audit out into two pieces. The financial audit piece being conducted earlier, and then the additional compliance testing that we did here in early 2025. That is all completely allowable, acceptable. Everything was submitted to the different bodies that it needed to get submitted to timely. So it was just sort of a way to make things a little bit easier, I think, and take it in pieces this year. So I did want to make mention of that. That wasn't due to a concern or an issue with the audit whatsoever. We do continue to, appreciate the support, the cooperation that we received during the audit. As I'm sure you know, we work closely with Rhonda and the team. It's a very significant process, but she is very diligent. The team we work with very helpful in getting us the information, and we just continue to appreciate that support and the cooperation. Our responsibility as part of the audit ultimately is to issue an opinion on the financial statements and whether we believe those are accurately stated financial statements. We don't, provide an opinion on a financial condition, whether things are good, bad, or otherwise. But what we try to just focus in is to make sure that the financial statements are accurately stated. So they're useful, for your group as part of your decision-making processes. We also do, if we would identify audit findings, they're called material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, we would have to include those as part of our reporting as well. So I'll just start with maybe those highlights. As far as the report that we issued this year, it was the unmodified, clean audit opinion, which is the audit opinion you want to achieve during the audit, that yes, we believe these financial statements are accurately stated in all material respects. Also pleased to note that again, regarding those audit findings, significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, there were no such findings over the financial accounting or the compliance testing that we complete. Within the financial statement, there's just a couple of pages that I'm going to refer to. If you have the copy in front of you, that's great, but you certainly don't need to. But within the financial statements, one of the first things you'll turn to is called the Independent Auditor's Report. This is the part of the financials where, again, we issue our opinion. And again, that's that clean audit opinion. There is a section of the financial statements that starts on page 6 and goes to page 13 that's called the Management's Discussion and Analysis. I always encourage a board to read through this information. It's just a handful of pages. It's not page after page of numbers, but there's some more narrative information in here. I think it provides an opportunity to step back and reflect on the financial results for the year ended June 30th, 2024. And again, it puts it in some narrative form. It talks, there's comparative information between 2024 and 2023. There's some good discussion on the general fund and the general fund budget and maybe changes or fluctuations that happen during the year. So again, always encourage you, just as a good high-level refresher of the financial results for the year, to review that management's discussion and analysis. Then flipping forward to page 22 of the financial statements. Page 22 is called the Statement of Revenues, Expenditures, and Changes in Fund Balance. It's essentially the general fund's income statement for the year. There's also a column for the what's called the non-major governmental funds. That's, everything other than the general fund and the utility fund essentially is included in there. But things like major and local streets. In the back of the financials, there are balance sheets and income statements for each of those individual funds, if you'd be interested. But for the year ended June 30th, 2024, you can see the first column on that page. Look very near the bottom. The general fund had a current year decrease in fund balance of about $955,000. We're bringing that fund balance at the end of fiscal year 2024 to $4,384,406. And if you flip forward just 2 pages from there, again, just to sort of close the loop on the general fund, starting on page 24, carrying on to page 25 is a budgetary statement for the general fund, showing the budget that was originally passed for the year. The final amended budget, which projected a decrease in fund balance of just about 1.3 million. And then those actual results that we saw, which was a decrease of about 955,000. Then the last statement I wanted to bring your attention to is 2 pages further from that. Page 27 is an income statement for the utility fund specifically. From the operating perspective, right about in the middle of that page, you can see that there was an operating loss of about 912,000. But certainly that fund has received a lot of grants over the last couple of years. Specifically, if you look a little further down that page, you can see capital contributions of nearly 11 million. So in totality, that fund had a large increase in that position during the year, but that was largely driven by those capital grants. Those are my high-level highlights that I wanted to share with you, and with that, I would be happy to answer questions. I'll do my best to answer questions anyone may have.
I'm going to open it up for questions with the city council. Just like to thank you for your diligence in the audit. Just for the record, did you experience or see any quote unquote cooking the books or any discrepancies of red alert or high potential fraudulent activity or theft or thievery or any kind of red flags that would say, you know what, we have some real serious issues here?
Sure. Thank you for the question. My answer would be no. We did not identify any of those concerns. And to be honest, had we identified those, we would have made sure to have a communication with you before surprising you with it this evening.
Thank you. All right, thank you for, Mr. Go right ahead, Mr. Manager.
You also performed a similar audit on the federal funds. Could you comment on what your findings were in those?
Absolutely. So yes, we do additional compliance testing over the use of federal funding. In particular, of course, over the last few years, the city has received and spent the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. As part of our procedures, we have to do compliance testing to make sure that you follow the rules that need to be followed, that the items that were purchased with those funds were appropriate and followed the rules. And again, similar to the financial statements, we had no findings, no matters of concern there. Again, we issued a clean opinion on that compliance piece as well.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Oh, pardon me, Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Kennard.
Okay, we did have an item, last year that showed up during the time of the cemetery and it entered the newspaper concerning that particular dollars. Is this something that would have been, added in this audit regarding that?
I know there is one comment regarding in advance of funds that took place, I think during the emergency manager's tenure several years ago. To the best of my knowledge, that same issue remains outstanding, but I actually did speak to Rhonda about that. And she noted that, that is something where, the city commission can take action on should they so choose.
Thank you.
This will conclude the audit presentation. Thank you for your report.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
And this brings us to our citizens' comments or public participation. There is a 3-minute maximum per speaker. Please sign in with the city clerk.
Garrett Nastrom.
Alrighty. Hello and good evening. My name is Garrett with Outsider Southwest Michigan. I'm here to express my disappointment in the continued inaction of City Manager Little since my last statement on February 18th. Outsider has yet to receive correspondence regarding the city's decision to not approve our park application for Twin Cities Pride Fest 2025. It was always our intention to hold this event at City Center Park as we have every single year since 2022. Over the years, we've maintained a positive partnership with the city and its representatives like Tamika and many of the commissioners who are here today. It was not until January 8th, the day that City Manager Little told me that they would no longer be having events in City Center Park, that we began to reach out to our local partners to try and identify a suitable backup location for us. This not only disrupted our organization and our staff's time, but also resulted in significant rental fees, as there are limited options available for public festivals, especially ones that welcome roughly 1,000 attendees per event. The only disruption that Pride Fest has ever experienced in City Center Park was due to what Mayor Pro Tem Seats called in a recent committee meeting, hecklers, who were out there going ballistic and antagonizing kids. This is in line with our experience of what happened that day. Instead of the city taking accountability for its failure to uphold the park policies regarding inappropriate behavior and remove such bad actors, instead it seems that the city manager has chosen to double down on this failure to not enforce these policies and target our event for removal for 2025 and beyond. Outsiders' concern over the city of Benton Harbor's actions have always extended not only to our events, but also peer events like Juneteenth, local concerts, and the Children's Art Fair, as can be seen in my initial email to the city manager. Inconsistently applied rules and opaque processes create a system where accountability has to be fought for and discrimination spreads like wildfire. I'm incredibly happy to see that Juneteenth is likely going to be allowed to happen in City Center Park this year. That being said, in moments like this, it's incredibly important that government officials understand the importance of trust and transparency. In an era where trust in institutions is plummeting, it is on you to ensure that your institution rises to the occasion and proves its trustworthiness. On this topic, the city of Benton Harbor has failed. There is no policy cited to decline our event, and the city has ignored our calls for answers and accountability. And instead, the answers that we have not gotten, we have seen the city manager and city attorney attempt to patch together a policy that obfuscates the truth of what happened between the time of Pride Fest 2024 and today. Frankensteining a policy together that can't be based on event size because we aren't the biggest event in the area, can't be based on who's organizing because we're not the only minority representing nonprofit to host an event, and it can't be based on merit because we've always worked with the city, turning in paperwork months in advance, hiring private security, and leaving the parks cleaner than we find them each year. To conclude, we're still seeking answers. Thank you.
Willow Sibling.
Good evening. I'm Willow Sibling, also from Out Center, Southwest Michigan. At the Economic Development and Parks meeting recorded on February 26th, Mayor Pro Tem Dwayne Seats stated, and I quote, "Everybody talks about tolerance, but you're talking about a group of people that don't have tolerance and will come after us with everything they've got to prove your point." To whom is Mr. Seats referring? In the context of this discussion, he was weighing the optics of approving the city's Juneteenth celebration while simultaneously crafting a policy that would exclude Out Center, serving LGBT people and headquartered in Benton Harbor since 2007, and Pride Fest, which was hosted at the city park just outside since 2022. This statement directly acknowledges the city commission's awareness that such exclusion is occurring. And perhaps worse, it frames a minority group's fight for equal access as an attack on the city itself. Let's be clear. It's now a matter of public record that the city commission is considering treating LGBT residents differently than others. It's now also a matter of public record that city officials do understand the discriminatory implications and ramifications of these actions. We appreciate the transparency of these recorded and publicly available discussions, but the veiled references to tolerance and coming after us are revealing. These words suggest that standing up for equal treatment is somehow a threat. History tells a different story. Minority groups in the United States, from Black communities fighting for civil rights to LGBT advocates demanding legal protections, share the same struggle for equal access and dignity. Were the advocates at Stonewall coming after New York just to prove a point? Were those marching with Dr. King in Birmingham coming after the city simply for demanding their rights? Michigan's Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act is clear. All individuals must have the, quote, full and equal enjoyment of the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, or accommodations of a place of public accommodation or public service, and not be denied them on the basis of religion, race, color, national origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or marital status. Further, nowhere in that law does it say that equal rights can be denied because of the possibility of unsavory protesters. Equal access is not conditional. It is a legal right. Thank you.
No more comments.
This brings us to our consent calendar. Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar? Are there any items that should be separated? Chair recognizes Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I'd like to separate number 1.
Motion is made by Commissioner Isom for the consent calendar. Motion, is there a second?
Support.
It is supported by Second Ward Commissioner Warren. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to our separated item, a resolution to amend the City of Benton Harbor Code of Ordinances, Chapter 11, Buildings and Buildings Regulations. Is there a motion for the approval?
So moved.
Motion is made by First Ward Commissioner Henderson. Is there a second?
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner at Large Isom. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I just have one simple question, because I noticed tonight, on the agenda, there's a lot of stuff that's crossed out. And I wanna know has it changed since the initial agenda that the city clerk sent to us?
Mr. Manager?
I'm not aware that there's been changes. I believe, no, I'm not aware of changes in any committee.
Assistant City Manager?
There have been no changes to the agenda.
No changes.
No changes.
All right, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to our staff communication. I'd like to recognize the Director of Public Safety, Director McGinn.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, staff, citizens, new report.
Chair recognizes our City Attorney, Attorney Smith.
Very briefly, Honorable Mayor, I just want to remind any citizens who may be listening that there was recently an article about how we're stepping up enforcement on blight and nuisance cases. I'd really like to encourage citizens, if you do get a ticket or you do get a warning, reach out to our code enforcement, reach out to our departments. We're there to help you. If these tickets go all the way to court, they're often misdemeanor tickets, and if you don't show up for court, you can be arrested. Right now, currently, I'm actually dealing with some people who had tickets in 2020, in 2021. They were picked up on warrants and they're in court now for tickets that are older. So I'd really encourage people to reach out. It doesn't get to that point unless you've ignored a lot of calls and a lot of letters and a lot of court dates. So I'd really encourage our citizens, if you're having an issue, if you're getting letters, please reach out to our code enforcement. That's why we're there to serve you.
Chair recognizes the City Clerk and Assistant City Manager, Clerk Moore.
Just another reminder, April 22nd is the deadline for those candidate packets. So if anybody currently has them and not turned them in, get them in ahead of time so that they can be reviewed before they have to be sent over to the county. They can still be picked up at our office up until that point, but the due date to have them in is April 22nd.
Chair recognizes the city manager, Mr. Little.
Thank you, sir. Would just like to remind our citizens that the improved fee schedule regarding refuse pickup and so forth is being implemented. The stickers have been prepared and are available for sale at the window downstairs. So if you have mattresses that are being put out, please buy a mattress cover and cover them. If you've got, and pick up the stickers to put on them so that our people know that they've been paid for, so they can pick them up. Same thing with any other kinds of bags or furniture or anything else that you're putting out outside of the 95-gallon container.
Chair recognizes 4th Ward Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This Saturday, we're having our 4th Ward, 4th annual spring cleanup, at noon, starting this Saturday, March 27th at noon. Just the name from the places we will be cleaning up. It's, Nolan and Wakanda, the trash that's in the alley. Wakanda and Bruno Bissell, the trash in the empty lot. Forest Bridge is trash and leaves. North Wine and LaSalle, trash at the house. LaSalle, trash and large items. Wakanda and John Street, trash in the empty lot. Pasadena, trash and large items. Northvale, trash in the area. Bus Avenue and High, trash in the alley off of North Full. Bus Avenue and High Street, middle of alley, large items. Nate Wells Drive and East Vineyard, large items in the alley. So we'll be cleaning up those areas on this Saturday. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of dumping. It has stopped occurring, but for some reason we getting a lot of dumping again. So asking everybody, please help out. You know, I have to buy all the items for these cleanups, and I have to get the volunteers myself. So I'm trying to work hard to keep the city looking good. So I'm asking everybody, please play a part and try to help us keep our areas and streets and homes and everything looking good. And I want to give a special shout out to Shakia Turner, who always spearheads the cleanup. A special shout out to my son, Miguel Clark, who's always part of the cleanup. Special shout out to Mr. Jamario Eddie, who's been a part of pretty much everything I've done in over the 3 years I've been in office. And my colleague, Commissioner Isons, he's been a part of most of the cleanup, and he's been a part of all the senior care package and toy giveaway. He loaded up that truck, him and my son, and this last year his wife helped also. So just special shout out to everybody that's played a part in all the events and all the programs and projects that I've done since I've been in office, and even all the volunteers, even people that's donated to help to make these possible. So thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Kennard.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say I thank the few that we have out, and thank you for your time. And I want you to know the young persons that came to of a concern that they have. I'd like by the next time we have a meeting that their concerns have been resolved. I think that we as commissioners should look for when our residents come forth and present problems that they get an answer. That's why we're here, to be a voice to make sure that these things happen. So I'd like to see that you all get the answers that you're looking for. And that's important to me, because I said no more excuses. We're taking care of city's business. That's city's business. When you come to us and there's something that you want to bring forth, and no matter who it is. So I think that you deserve that. I'd like to thank many of the things that is happening, that's coming forth this year, the Juneteenth. I'm excited about it this year. I pray that you all be very blessed in that, and many other things that come and put a positive focus on our city. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank all the citizens that are coming out and speaking about some of their issues and concerns. That's all I have to say is thank you to the citizens.
Chair recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to also thank the citizens for coming out. And for the Second Ward cleanup is still looking to be May 17th. And normally we don't have a big turnout. So I'm hoping this year, because we're giving everybody 3 months, is that right? 2 months in advance, and we can get some more people to come out and help clean up. And the town hall meeting will be a couple days before. Once I get the venue booked, I will announce that exact date. And that'll be it. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Chair recognizes First Ward Commissioner Henderson.
As everyone has said, I'd like to thank the residents and community members for coming out. I would also like to say thank you to the team, the city manager and the team for producing this, the great work to get this clean audit. So I know that it wasn't an easy thing, and just really good to hear that again, that we had clean audit. So again, thank everyone for coming out. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Isom.
Thank you, Honor Mayor. I just want to say thank everyone for coming out. And again, like Commissioner Henderson said, the clean audit is very important, you know, that the city stay on top of things. So shout out to the city manager and all the staff that helped put this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Just like to thank all the residents for coming out. The most recent trip was to Washington, D.C. I served as a delegate for the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, where we engaged and met with other mayors. Some were from Canada, from Montreal, St. Catharines. I think it was about 28 of us in all. We also partnered with the Mississippi River Cities, Towns, and Initiatives, where we met with a multitude of senators and congresspersons. On Wednesday, we met with Senator Peters, Debbie Dingell, Congressman Huizenga, John Molinar. We met with officials from the Canadian Embassy. On Thursday, we met with Senator Slotkin, Senator Duckworth, Representative Tlaib, and industry leaders. And we had a few asks. One was for the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which expires, which protects our Great Lakes, Huron, Ontario, of course, our own Michigan, Erie, and Superior, and the Great Lakes region itself. Collectively, the economic input is $6 trillion. I just want to briefly talk about District 4, which is Congressional District 4 for the city of Benton Harbor is within it. Motor vehicle parts and our trade with Canada is $410 million. Pharmaceuticals and medicines is $154 million. This is what we export. Motor vehicles, $145 million. Electrical equipment and components, $134 million. Oil and gas, $85 million. That's a $2.3 billion annually goods to Canada. Exports and services to Canada is $51 million annually. Travel is $16 million. Charges for the use of intellectual property, $16 million. Business services, $14 million. Financial services, $2 million. Maintenance and repairs, $2 million. There's over 3,330 people employed at Canadian-owned businesses in Congressional District number 4. So it's a huge deal. course, Benton Harbor has Javis, we have Aludyne, we have products, we have Whirlpool Corporation who will be impacted severely as well. So we were appealing to legislators to what we are seeing now for some type of cool. Because at the end of the day, the tariffs impact everyday people, whether you're Republican, Democrat, however you identify. This is a major issue for the state of Michigan. Anything that impacts the state of Michigan ultimately will impact the city of Benton Harbor. So we had some excellent meetings. They were full packed days, but it was in the interest of making sure that the city of Benton Harbor is secure. Another ask was the federal freeze, where the city of Benton Harbor has over $100 million in grants, from housing to infrastructure to water, and we want to make sure that that money continues to flow. So I'll give a further update, but we got a great response from the legislators, and we can see where the president is working with Canada to make sure that there's no major disruption moving forward. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is made by Commissioner Isom and is seconded by Commissioner Clark Griffin. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennard,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hammond.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Any commissioners that don't have a copy of the order,